Discover how to use ODS Studio, Opendatasoft new page editor. To access the studio, go to the Pages menu of your back office. Let's start by building the general layout of the page by adding sections and blocks. They are totally flexible. You can move them, delete them, or add new ones at any time. Fill in the information about the page, its title and URL. Now, let's feed our page with visualizations. Notice that your changes are automatically saved, although the page is not yet published. I want the first block to contain my page's main title. For that, I need to select a text block and write my text. Select your text to access formatting options. Let's highlight the title a little bit. I need to add subtitles to introduce the subject the page will address. To do that, I'm adding a new section to the page's general layout and dragging it below the title section. Next section will be about KPIs. My source dataset lists all the cities that have recently opened their public data with Opendatasoft. Select this dataset as a source. A preview of the dataset opens. It is useful as it lets you see the dataset schema. You can open it in another tab to access it anytime. Also, notice that the dataset's security settings can be seen here. You may use this functionality to double-check that the users who have access to your page will also be able to see the data displayed. My first KPI will focus on the number of datasets published by all cities in 2021. My field Dataset 2021 lists the number of datasets published for this year. I need to compute the sum of the values in this field. I don't want to apply any filter, condition to this KPI, so I'll save it as it is and move on to configuring the display and information about this KPI. I'm choosing a template that contains an icon that can emphasize the topic of my KPI. To add an icon here, I must have added it in the Assets menu of my portal. I will therefore be able to just copy-paste its URL. Let's go over to our second KPI. I now need to show how many cities have opened their Open Data portal with ODS. Let's review the dataset again. I can see that one record applies to one portal opening, and therefore to one city. To build this KPI, I need to count the number of records in my dataset. Let's select the count function. I could apply a condition here to only display the cities that have opened their portal on or after the 1st of January 2019. We find that 20 portals have opened ever since this date. But let's erase this filter as we want to get the full picture of all portal openings. Let's move on to setting up how it is displayed. Let's end this section with a KPI that shows the number of citizens indirectly involved in open data via the cities. I want to add up the values of the field citizen, a field that lists the number of inhabitants for every city. All these values summed up make up the number of people involved in open data. My first section is now over. Let's now go over to the next section. It will display a time series graph on data portals openings. Once again, I'm choosing my block type and the same dataset as before, even though I could have chosen any other dataset listed here. I will select a line chart, which is ideal to visualize how a variable evolves over time. The x-axis, the horizontal one, will be my date field. The vertical one will address the number of portals, so we will apply a count function. A view source message is automatically displayed just below the graph. Users can access the source dataset directly through this page. Let's add a text block to further explain the data displayed in this graph. I can also easily add a URL link to a website, for example a link to a monitoring dashboard of open data territories published by a French organization. I decided to actually move this block up to put it right next to the graph. Let's finish by adding two more graphs. One that ranks the 10 cities with the most published dataset in 2021, the other that proposes a ranking of the city's population typologies. Now that the page is finished, I can pre-visualize it to check how it will look once published. Previewing your page also lets you simulate how it will be displayed on mobile devices. Let's come back to the editing interface. Notice that the sidebar lets you see all the datasets used within the different visualizations. Finally, you can modify its visibility settings. You can leave it private and invite users or groups to see it, or you can make it public to all users. Your page is now ready. Publish it.